Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ELKBROS.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Giglia. You want to hunt elk, and they live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Elk Bros 2023 Can-Am Camp right here in Grand Prairie, Canada. It has been a series of ups and downs. I want to go around and introduce everybody that's here. We could not be here without our wonderful hosts, Travis O'Shea, owner and operator of Wapiti River Outdoors and Calls, and his beautiful wife, Miss Carrie Ann. We can't thank you guys enough for having us up here to enjoy y'all's crew. The madman right there, Mr. Dylan Cadman. That's right, I didn't say Mad Matt Dillon, I said Madman Dillon, right? This guy's been toting us around all week. We got Mr. Jason Gordon in the house, and we'll talk more about the Flash Gordon right here, no doubt. Big Bad Darryl Dahl is in the house. We call him the mayor around here because he hunts wherever he wants to go. Absolutely love Brother Darryl. We'll keep going around the circle. That's right. We got WWJGD is in the house. Mr. Joe Giglia, the leader of the Elk Bros Nation. We got the Venezuelan Mafia in the house. Mr. Manano Graterone and the killer himself, Mr. Luis Gonzalez, sitting right next to me. PJB, Pump Jack Bryan Hagler. Pump Jack Bryan Hagler. We got the ninja in the house, Mr. Leroy Chavez. He's been toted around all week by the mayor over there, and he'll tell you about a bunch of his escapades coming up. We also have the legend in the house, Mr. R.C. Knox. We're going to get it kicked off here. We're going to talk about our time here in elk camp. More importantly, we're going to talk about what precious people that we've met here. It's been fantastic. We've had some ups and downs. Really could be a lot better, but anything that's overshadowed by these people would be a moot point in talking about, man. The hunting has been elk hunting, and we're used to that, right? We're used to grinding. We're used to doing what we got to do to put elk on the ground. But this trip wasn't just about that, was it, Joe?
No, not at all. But, what I want to do is, before I even get started, I want Travis, because this wouldn't have happened without a phone call that happened a couple years, a relationship that developed with this guy. And Travis, I think you can pretty much start us off as far as, what this has meant for you guys. We're going to talk a lot about elk here in a few minutes, right? We're going to talk about other things beyond elk, like the relationships and how this has happened. We're going to talk about the education that happened for mostly us, because we are humbled, y'all.
100% humbled.
But it is not over yet. I want you to know, last time we did a podcast the night before our last day, and
we spent the next day cleaning elk.
And I said it's not over till it's over, and I totally believe that it's not over till it's over. But at this point in time here, one guy has led us off that's always just getting after it, and we're going to talk more about what he's done as we get going through here. But Luis Gonzalez,
the killer,
came to Canada, punched his tag. Yeah. I mean, he hit it with a vehicle.
You know better.
He hit it with a vehicle, but
he hit it with a vehicle. Him and Flash Gordon ran him over, but they had to finish him off.
A tag is a tag.
A tag is a tag.
Meat's in the freezer.
That's what you call adaptability, right?
And how about the butcher shop here? Shout out to them. In a day and a half, gets his meat back to him, so we can get it home, man.
And what name of the butcher shop is?
Beaver Lodge Butcher Shop.
Beaver Lodge
Butcher Shop.
They were super accommodating, very nice people. They turn around our elk in 3 days, and knowing that we had to travel, and real nice people, and super shocked.
And shout out to Wyatt.
Wyatt at the butcher shop.
Yeah.
The wolf killing, madman, mouth punching, Wyatt, hockey playing.
He still has his teeth. He says that he doesn't lose his teeth. He makes other teeth disappear.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
He's a magician. He's a tooth magician, he says. I just knock people out, man.
Hey, but Wyatt, honest to God, I said it to you in the text, man. The fewer of that stuff you can do and take, the better in the long run, bro. So, on that. But let's go to you, Trav.
Well, it's been a fun time just getting the group together, you know. Just, it's not easy doing something like this. Like getting these guys together, big undertaking, really.
Big
and everybody
for your
just
whole
stepped
team.
up, and we all kind of did our own little thing, but it worked out good, you know. I can't say enough. And my wife Carrie, she stepped up.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah,
the true general here.
absolutely. Yeah, and thanks for you guys
Of the
coming
Venezuelan mafia.
Yeah,
out. Exactly.
we got a new general in the house.
Oh yeah.
Glad you have.
But she's been hard on all of us.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, and just meeting all you guys face to face. Just, I know we do the podcast all the time, but it's real. I can only say that it's real. What you guys see here, it's real. So that's who they are.
Even the unleashed
worse.
part.
Yeah, Manano's a little bit more than what I knew.
What a momento.
No, he's the same. What you get is what you get. It's been awesome.
And by more, you mean worse.
Yeah. More unleashed. This way. But it's been awesome. Yeah, the hunting's been hard. It's smoky. We got fires like crazy all around us. Not gonna lie, it's been really tough. And the last couple of days we've been fighting heavy wind.
Yeah.
But we're still out there pounding trails and trying to find them. And Dylan heard a bugle this morning, but it was pretty faint, far off. And we moved in, tried to get closer and closer, but just they wouldn't pipe off anymore.
That's probably Manano, since he thinks now he's bugling.
Yeah. He was hiding over the ridge, and
Yeah, it's super embarrassing. I told him,
Piping.
you guys should stop just, raising his hopes, guys. I told him to stop posting stuff on the internet with him bugling. It's just embarrassing.
He's already called a wolf in.
Yeah.
He called a hunter in.
It's good to
A
know.
dumb
I don't wanna be
hunter.
a-
That's what we're saying.
That's good to know. I don't want to be around Manano when he starts calling wolves.
If that
That's the last
hunter's-
thing I want to call
if that
him.
hunter's watching this podcast, we're not calling you dumb.
we're just saying suckered radio.
Yeah.
No, it's been big stepping stones. Manano, his calling is up the level, and we watched his, what do you call it, his confidence level just go from, normal to
Normal.
we have a tent over us right now, and it's lifting the tent right off the ground. Yeah, and Gilbert's calling has also went up. Chuckling, his calling's getting way better.
Look, when you
Phenomenal.
hang out with champions, you do what champions do, and it's been humbling.
Yeah. But it's fun. I mean, Darryl's been taking Chav out, and guys, they're seeing more game than all of us put together. Like, when they say Darryl's the mayor, he knows this place by the back of his hand, and he gets to hunt some stuff, and it's awesome. Chav is just killing it.
That's been good.
Every day you're into animals.
Yeah, and we're proud of Chav, man. He worked really hard to get here to be able to hike in and do some of the things that he was going to have to do to be successful, and been so close so many times. Oh, brother. So, and all of us have. I mean, we've been 3 feet away from this being like, holy smokes, what a trip, right? It's been phenomenal. I know hunting today with Chav, or with Travis and Joe and the Madman over there. I'm hunting with 2 world-class callers, man. These guys, they can make elk do whatever they want to, right? And it has been super tough. The predatory nature of what's going on here, as well as the smoke and wind, has really set these elk up in a tough situation for all of us. And these guys are the best of the best, and I just sit back and want to be a sponge and learn. And I'm a methodical guy. I like to make a plan and go execute the plan and then see what happens. And even today, Dylan heard that bugle, And on our way back, we're coming over the top of that ridge, and there are bull tracks in the mud going back away from us, just like he thought he'd heard. He did.
Yeah.
That bull was there. He's just going to a destination, and we could not turn him around to get him stopped to come to us, for whatever reason, whether he's headed to a destination or what. But it's been humbling, but man, we've learned so much.
Well, I think that's something that I think every group has something that they bring out of this, right? I mean, and I'm talking about each of us that went with a host.
Absolutely.
In doing that, in an overall thing, because we always say elk is elk,
Right.
and I believe elk is elk, but there are variables wherever those elk are
Nuances.
that create different things that can have an effect on what your plan is. You know, for example, and so I've been probably the toughest one to have to like adapt to the variances, man, because, you know, part of me is like, we shouldn't be out in the woods, sleeping in the woods by ourselves trying to follow elk.
Right.
We shouldn't be out in the woods 2 hours before, you know, calling in the dark trying to locate or pull elk by ourselves, maybe even two. We shouldn't be out there late at night, you know, by ourselves trying to pull elk, because one thing that we forget about and that we don't deal with where we are is we don't deal with grizzlies, wolves, you know, we don't deal with
Bears,
apex
Yep.
and wolves.
predators.
Yep.
Apex
Cougars.
predators.
Yeah, and
Cougars.
Yeah,
you know,
everything.
Big
yeah,
mountain lions.
and you know, I don't.
And
And
Sasquatch.
Yeah, oh yeah. Major Sasquatches.
Yeah.
personally, I don't ever. It's funny. I'm still not. I'm like the dumb one out of the group. I'm not carrying any bear spray.
Me neither.
I don't have any of that stuff. I just figure, you know, I'm with Trav. If I kick him in the knee and run,
They know they can outrun Big O, that's
Yeah.
for sure. They get me down, they outrun me, man.
Well, Joe made me lose 20 pounds hiking around with him, so
Yeah,
he's gonna have to run fast if he's getting away.
Right?
but there's variables, and one other variable that we didn't, that really hit us unexpectedly, was the amount of daylight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So-
how long you can hunt.
Yeah.
If you are going to night bugle, or if you are going to hunt till dark, you're getting back to
Midnight.
camp at 11 o'clock at night, because it's,
Midnight.
you know, your hunting, your legal hunting time stops at 9:30,
Yeah.
9:30-ish, right around there. So if you're an hour and a half away from camp, by the time you get to the vehicle and then you have to drive back,
Yep.
you're looking at, you know, you're in real late. And then if you want to get up early the next morning, you're basically taking naps, man.
Yeah.
If you do any night bugling, the other night we night bugled, we had 2 hours sleep,
Yeah.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
2 hours.
So those are the types of things that, and the reason I give these, I don't want this to be any excuse, because you still adapt and do with one. We've got people that hunt here all the time and get it done, right?
Yeah.
So, but what I want is this to be educational for people who are going to do something like that, that these are things you need to consider, you know, when you do that. So, the fires and the smoke, the wind, all of that has been tough.
Vegetation.
Yeah,
thickness
but
of the
yet I've had one encounter in 9 days, and myself did not finish in a way that I'm like still kicking myself in the butt, because it just doesn't. I'm real hard on myself, but I popped a bull right in the friggin' shoulder knuckle. You know, it had 0 penetration on it. My arrow busted off, and at 20 yards. So there should definitely be 2 bulls down right there. You know, Chav's been within, I don't know what, 12 yards?
Something like that.
16, I think.
Pretty
was the
close, yeah.
16 was the closest on that
Yeah.
bull the other day, and he was
Right.
right there.
But
Yep.
didn't have the shot because of the brush.
Yep.
Look, man, the
Yeah, the
bush here
brush
in
is
Canada
crazy.
is real.
Yeah.
Like, I want to tell you, it is as thick and as tough as advertised.
Wild
I mean,
But-
roses.
wild roses, berries, big devil's breath. leaves or whatever y'all
Devil's-
call it.
Devil's Club.
Devil's
Yeah.
Club. I mean, it will test you every day you go out in it, because nothing is easy. You walk on softballs all day. You can't see half the logs down because of that bush that's up. You're tripping over
Tripping
them,
on
falling
them,
down, looking like a turtle, looking like a turtle on your back. Joe will tell you, I absolutely hate falling down. It pisses me off. And I bet I've been down 30 times this week. You know, it's just part of it. I mean, you grind and it's tough.
Well, that undergrowth where we
Yes.
usually have it about, I don't know, maybe, we'll sometimes get
Half a
some
foot.
taller grass in the aspen stuff, but we're talking about 3 foot of solid leaves, so that you're not seeing your feet.
Right?
when
No,
you walk.
no.
You know?
Can't see your
You'll
feet,
never
and the
see your
brush
feet.
that whips by you is just dragging on you. Right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like pulling.
If it's
and
wet, you're wet because it's
Absolutely.
going to drench you as you're
Oh,
going.
The first morning that I hunted with the boys right here, I didn't wear gaiters. And I'm telling you, big no. Put your gaiters on in the morning. The second day I had my gaiters on. Didn't matter. I was still wet up to my chest because of the wet.
From the
Yeah,
knees.
from the knees. Yeah, I had my gaiters. Everything was dry from the gaiters down, but
Yeah.
from the knees up, it was all wet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're waist deep through all the foliage, no matter where you go.
It's been super challenging. It started off on fire for me and the crew here that I was hunting with. Trav, why don't you say something a little bit about when you come to Canada, what you guys have to do to help us get ready? I mean, each guy has to have a sponsor, correct?
Yeah, so you have to have a hunter host,
A hunter host.
and we can only hunter host one person every third year,
Yes, sir.
basically. Well, technically you're allowed 2, but one has to be a family member.
Gotcha.
But of course we're not family members, so we can only take
Oh,
one.
come on, Trav.
Yeah, we're all family
Blood just
now. Now we
Blood
are.
just makes you related.
I thought we overcame all of that.
Yeah. So then that's why we have such a big group. There's 12 of us here, so one per person, and the paperwork isn't that hard. You go to Fish and Wildlife, get the paperwork. We fired it off to you guys. You fill it out, get it notarized, and you guys fired it right back.
Get a win card.
Yeah. Then you just go online, get the win card, and then from there, we take the paperwork back to Fish and Wildlife. They approve everything in their computer, and once we buy our hunter host license, when we buy our hunting license, your name is attached to ours, and then you can buy your guys' tags.
And
Fairly easy.
we're bound to be with you guys
Yeah.
during our hunt.
Which is another variable.
Which is
That
another
you got to think about, because it's like if one of y'all gets tired, that means y'all staying in, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that-
And there was some of that. We were tired because, like Joe said, we were getting in at 11, 12 o'clock at night, not getting to
Whipped.
bed till 1,
Whipped.
1:30.
Yeah.
Then you're up for 4, get ready to go again. And, some of us felt sick. So one day we didn't go hunting the one day or the one morning. And then just the
Got some
tiredness,
rest,
it all wears on us. It's exhausting.
Also, as far as helping each other out. Like if a group wants to go out and wants to bring somebody else in, to help out, calling or whatever. We do that a lot in New Mexico, to where we kind of mix and match the teams depending on what we're doing that day. And it's harder to do that here. To move groups, you have to move 2 hunters.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other thing that got us, which totally surprised me, it was the same as what we had last year. It was like plus 27 to 30.
Yeah, the
every
temperatures.
single day.
So
It
in
was,
real language, what are we talking?
so
70 to 80 degrees.
70, 80 degrees. Yeah,
yeah, it's gotta
70
be.
to 80
I think
degrees.
it's like
How close to 90,
83, 84 was our
Yeah,
highest.
Yeah.
because I tell you what, there were a couple days in the sun, like I thought I was in the 90s.
Yeah,
man. I mean, I
felt,
was just
yeah.
like,
it felt like it. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
couldn't sleep in the tent during the day because it was
No.
so hot.
Yeah, it
you
was
know.
too hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big factor. I know for me, the heat was exhausting.
The smoke was something else.
The smoke,
Yeah,
Yeah,
when,
and the smoke
when you're
factor.
hiking, you're breathing heavy because you're,
Yeah.
it's Alberta's kind of flat, but where we are, we're in the Saddle
A
Hills.
lot of hills.
So it's a lot of rolling hills. I mean, it's
They can probably even see it
yeah,
right now.
yeah,
from the
exactly.
camera. It's
You
kinda-
can see it on there.
Yeah.
And to get to the elk, that's where they are. I mean,
Yeah.
you're following the game trails. The game trails are easy because they're wide and they're beat. but there's roots across them.
Softballs.
And rocks. We found rocks. We found rocks in Alberta. Gilbert?
Found some big rocks in Alberta.
Gilbert's taking one of those rocks home.
Yeah.
So.
And the blowdowns. The blowdowns here, because of the amount of trees that dry out, they're all over the place.
Yeah,
right?
so it's like you're going through a hurdle
Hurdles.
every time. You're picking your
Chav was the king of hurdles. He did 300 plus hurdles in one day.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. He's using the walking sticks.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're using trekking poles when you're going. But it's one of the reasons I use one of them. I have my bow in my other hand. But the reason I use one is I'm using it to part the bush in front of me to see the hurdles, right? So I use it to push the big long grass out of the way and then point out to Chav, hey, watch out for this one. Hey, watch out for that one. Hey, watch out for this one. And then the other time, I'm flipping the sticks off the trail for him so he doesn't roll his ankle.
They didn't tell you to watch out. Nobody in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
No, he did. He did. I had the
fail?
only headlamp in the group coming out at night, and he said, "Can I borrow your headlamp? And I'll tell you where all the sticks are and all them monkeys that like to grab your toe and everything."
Yeah.
You know?
And Darryl, I would really like, while we're on here,
Yeah.
I just want to thank you, brother, because the you know what you've done with Chav and what you guys, I mean, it's been, I mean, he's come back and just really enjoyed all of that. I think the groups that we've had, you know, how they've been mashed up and some of the personalities, that's kind of interesting, how our two groups have those similar characters in the group. But dude, I mean, you're friggin' awesome.
Yeah, I just want to add that he's been pretty awesome. He's my weatherman and my news of the day, and he's got this 95 Ranchero. Silverado.
My hunting truck, which sits at home until it goes hunting.
Yeah, it's 95 on the outside, but it's like a spaceship inside. You got to see all the stuff yet.
I got switches to kill the brake lights, the headlights, double the headlights on the same thing, going in the dark, and we're
he's
sneaking.
like Professor Gadget, except he has everything, but double that because he's got two everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Two headlamps.
You gotta have it.
Two GoPro batteries.
Yes.
So basically two of everything. Because usually if I'm hunting with somebody, they're like, "What the hell's in your pack?" I'm like, "Well, it's just that when we get there and you don't have it," I'm like, "Wyoming saw? Yeah, I got one of those. Boom."
Yeah, I can lift my backpack like this. I can lift his off the ground.
Like Mary Poppins bag.
Luis!
Luis made his match. I think.
No. He's way above and beyond.
Well, I brought a Black Creek framed pack because I thought we'd be packing quarters out, right?
Yeah.
So, but we got machines and stuff, and we got lots of guys, so we haven't had to do it yet, but hopefully we do.
I lifted Daryl's pack out of the back of my truck the one day, and I had to use the quad winch.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Darryl, what do you got in there?
Well, you know, as far as the groups go, man, I couldn't have picked a finer host than Dylan, man. He's been fantastic. He's a young elk hunter, and both these guys, Bryan and Dylan, are both young elk hunters that are phenomenal. Not just elk hunters, but they're phenomenal men. And you know, when you do this sport and you hang around it long enough, you get to meet all kinds of people. But these two young men are fine fellas. And they're fine individuals. They embraced us, and look, you know, we talked about philosophy, we talked about all kinds of tactics elk hunting, and we made plans, and we executed those plans, and we got really close, man. I mean, 2-3 feet one way or the other, 2 or 3 times, and it's a whole different ball game, huh, Bryan?
Yep.
You know,
right in there.
I don't want to speak for you or Dylan at all, but how have you felt like the meshing of the group has gone?
It's been amazing. I thought our group, we got along really good right off the start. I know I haven't laughed this much in years. Gilbert's got quite the stories, and he'll have you laughing more than anybody I know.
Yeah.
The knowledge between Gilbert and RC, what they could bring to us to help us in the situations, is top notch for sure. Bryan and I obviously know how to attack our bulls here, but the knowledge that Gilbert and RC bring for how to go about certain situations helped out a lot.
I mean, right out the gate, we night bugle, which we really haven't done a whole lot of, right? Especially here.
Well, we were over there on those 4-wheelers, and I'm going, all right.
I'll hunker down here and we'll get to the house, you know, and then all of a sudden we're going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, okay, I guess, you know. And they get up there and we're going through mud and it's throwing up all over us. And we get up there on top of that hill and I'm going, what are they doing now, you know? Got out and they night bugled and guess what?
Boom.
That's when it all started.
Yeah. Woo, get an answer.
Yeah.
He goes, cool, coming back right here in the morning. We'll make a plan. Come back that morning. We hike up to a little ridge top. We go down the ridge top, and the wind is horrible. It's not good for us, the way we want to hunt it. And he hits a bugle. Bull answers, and bull is coming. He answers with that insistent, I'm headed your way, boys. And I'm like, we got to get out of here because he's coming. And, you know, we all made the decision that the wind wasn't right. We needed to circle down below and get the wind in our face and move in on him. And Mr. Bulldozer, D9 right here. D8 was clean. D9 was making the path. D8 was cleaning it up and rolling it up. And RC was picking me up. So we get to go through the woods, and I'm telling you, we get to about one different spot, and Dylan goes, the next opening. And people, when we talk about opening, I mean, I could spit across them most of the time. So it is thick in there. He said, the next opening we're going to set up. And I look at my Onyx and I'm like, we're almost dead level where I felt like that bull was going to be, you know. And we get in this little opening, and RC's on the point. I'm kind of in the middle, and Bryan is back behind me here. And he hits the bugle one time. Whee! And this bull erupts. I mean, absolutely erupts. Big 6x5 bull. And you can hear him breaking branches and crashing. And here he's coming. I see antlers coming. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be day 2 right here. It's going to get it done. RC Knox is going to ventilate this bull because he's going to step right on top of him. You know, so RC's standing there, and I'll let RC finish up how it went off because it was right in your face.
Oh, right in our face. And I tell you, it's just when you see trees going crashing everywhere, you're going, okay, this is a big animal, you know, and then you're seeing his horns above that, and he comes crashing in, and I'm going, all right, I'm fixing to draw, and it's going to be, 10 yards maybe. And I'm going to have a frontal, you know, and I'm fixing to do it, and he goes, and he turns. And I'm going, oh, man. So he comes around, and he comes all the way, and he needs one step because that's just what I got. I got his head, his neck, and he's looking around like this, you know. And what did you like? You liked probably one step too. He could have ventilated it. And it was
about
like
12 yards. He's looking at, he is looking a hole through me because he's looking for Dylan. He's looking a hole through me, and I don't know if he saw the breath coming off of me because I'm telling you, man, that adrenaline is stoked, right?
Oh,
and I got tension on the string. I got tension on the string. He's looking at me. I'm like, one step, and I mean, we're going to full draw, and we're going to cut him down because that's what we do, man. Right? I need one step, baby. And they're so smart here, everywhere. Elk are smart everywhere. But that elk knew something wasn't right in that setup. He did not see another bull. He did not see another elk. He seen a big guy wearing camouflage with steam coming off of him. And I'm sure he went, oh, no, that ain't what I want to see. And he turned. Well, when he turned, I drew. And we start cow calling. And he stops, and all I can see is his head and neck. And I'm like, man, that's not what we're here to shoot. So we just kind of held our position, and then he went over this little rise and down in a little tranas. When he went down in that little tranas, I looked at Bryan. I said, let's go kill that bull. And we dove off and went straight at him. And we pushed him for about maybe 80, 90 yards.
Yeah.
Through the aspen. And once we got through that aspen, he was standing on the other side of that tranas, and Bryan had him at 58. We actually called him back towards us. So he did not smell us, and he did not know what we were. But he's definitely sharp and a big old bull. And And then the next day, RC and Bryan had him again. We made that same plan, went in there, executed it again, except we did something a little different because the master, Travis O'Shea over there, said, look, I think y'all can go in there and confuse him and not sound like a bull this time and put on a little calf party and he'll pop off. But move RC and Bryan up there in the middle of it. I mean, these are integral plans, man, that we're making to surgically go extract one of these bulls out of his home, right, in thick cover. And for the most part, everything went like as planned, except for him reading the script where he turned broadside and we got him, right? I mean, at the end of the day, these guys did what they needed to do. They pushed up to that edge of that Tranas. We sat there for how long, Dylan?
It was about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, just straight putting on, and, you know, we'd have a little calf party for 10, 15 minutes, let it go quiet. Little calf party, I mean, that was, we never went above an octave of a cow call for sure. It was all calf all the time. And then about 45 minutes into it, right? And I'm like, there it is, oh my gosh. So they heard it. They pulled right up on him. RC, how'd it go from there?
Well, yeah, again, you know, it's like you're seeing trees being tore down, and he's right there. I mean, he's 30 yards in the trees, and you can hear a little bit of cow mewing back behind him, you know, and a lot of times a bull, when he's raking, he'll do a little bit of meowing or mewing. And it was like...
Yeah, that's Manano doing the meow.
Manano.
Not anymore. He's mewing now. He's mewing now.
He's mewing now.
Yeah.
But,
and schmewing.
But he was right there. And we had... What's that cow come out?
That cow was about 12 yards away from me.
Yeah.
Right out in front, yeah.
And we're like, okay. He just, I mean, I had him at 20. And all he had to do, again, was come out. And he did. His head. And he'd look at that cow, and he'd look over there where these guys were making the calf sounds. Then he'd go back over in the tree and rake some more. You know, I'm going, come on, just step out, you know. And you get your hopes up because he does this twice. And you're thinking, oh, yeah, this time he's going to come all the way out. And what made me excited was the fact that there was a cow down there, and I just knew he would step out and go check her out, you know, and round her up, right?
Yeah.
Well, there were some more cows behind in the trees, and they kind of started talking and everything else, and he just kind of like they all turned around and meandered off.
PJB, would you have killed that bull if he'd have stepped out?
No, I wouldn't have had a shot where he was at. But RC would have had a shot. What, 2 more steps? He'd have been 35 broadside to you.
If people want to know why I call him PJB, we call him Pump Jack Bryan, because the first morning we hunted together, he heard every pump jack was a bugle. So we said Pump Jack Bryan from here on out, and that's kind of where it So it's PJB from here on out. I'm sorry, but until he does something that dazzles me otherwise. Well, I could call you something else that dazzles me otherwise. We'll leave that for another.
Yeah. That's a whole new podcast.
Yeah. And if it wasn't enough, we found somebody that it smells more like perfume.
Aromatic?
Kinda.
Yeah. It has more perfume.
By Fabergé.
By Fabergé. Yeah, you can smell Dylan a mile out.
I smelled it today.
Yeah.
It's a secret test that we're not supposed to talk about.
No, I apologize, but just so everybody knows, it's Irish Spring soap. It's pretty strong.
It's Eau de Cadman.
I think it's important for our listeners to hear that there are some things like, you know, several times people had cows at like 8 yards broadside. Chav had a spike bull at 30 that just said shoot me, shoot me.
Yeah.
Was that how close?
Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me.
We can only shoot bulls, and it's a 3-point limit on minimum on one side. right? And y'all, we're not proud. I mean, we came here to fill some tags. If we'd have had something hit, in fact, mine was a 3x2 that came in.
A giant 3x2. Giant.
Big one.
They're all giants.
Bode and Crockett 3x2.
And the elk here are big by they're farmland,
Oh, my
agriculture
goodness. Oh, my
bulls.
gosh, they're-
They don't go hungry here. They
Yep.
ain't showing their ribs. They're big,
Well,
hardy.
we have a freezer over here that I just it daggone full, man, with one elk in there. I was like, man, what if we'd have got 2 or a moose? I'm like, how are we going to get that booger home? Because Luisa's
part of
bull
the
was, it's
Hospital
probably a
three.
3-year-old.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
a 3-year-old.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And I mean, the body was massive on that booger, man. Yeah.
But
And-
Joe, tell about the story of your bull, the sounds that we all have never heard
yes.
before
Yeah.
when he came out.
Yeah. So, you know, like they say, it's real thick. We found track that were, you know, we had been working a 2-track and bugling as we go, and we found track that was going into a trail. So we started going into the thick stuff onto the trail. I was in the lead, Manana behind me, and Trav and I had talked that I really thought that there was a bull with some cows, and that because we were bugling had moved them off. And so, you know, we talked about it and came to like, well, let's just calf call, you know. So we started moving inside there, and I'm up ahead, and Travis is back there giving, I mean, I was looking for the calf. That's how good those calls were. It was just awesome. And then all of a sudden we hear, whoo, whoo, like that, and I thought, and I turned around, and Carrie, man, is reaching for the bear spray.
Yep.
It's the first time I've ever done that, but it sounded like a bear. And we all looked at each other like, bear, bear. Manano's eyes were this big.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like,
they were.
bear. And I looked at Trav,
Yeah.
and Trav looked at me, and he went, like, come to me. I don't want you to be in there,
back
right?
up a little
Like,
bit.
it's
Yeah.
not okay. And I looked at him, and I said, bear? And he went, elk. And then it was better, but I've never been in the bush.
It was a
and heard-
wolf, like a, I mean, like a
It sounded like
bear.
a
Bluff
wolf,
charge.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like a bluff charge type thing.
Yep.
And so I'm looking, and then I catch movement, and as soon as I caught the movement, I saw horns coming through the trees. And the first thing I did was what I normally do is I'm looking at where that animal is, and I'm trying to put myself in a position where I'm gonna have the best shooting lane when it pops out. So the bull comes down real fast.
Yeah.
And pops out, and at the point it pops out, it's only 20 yards. And as it comes out, I draw on it as it's coming through. It has, you know, it's not where it can see me yet. I draw, it pops out and stops, but when it went by, all I could see was a 2x2 up on the head. And I was like, all I had was broadside at 20 yards at that point, and I'm at full draw, and I'm like, God dang it, I don't think it's legal. So I'm standing there. Next thing I know, I'm like, man, I gotta let down. So I let down, doesn't see anything, and it starts to walk again. I draw again, a second time, and again it stops in front of me, completely kill zone broadside, head behind a tree, right? And any other time, if this is a bull that we've seen the rack already and we knew what it is, it's a perfect situation, right?
And normally I'm calf calling or cow calling to stop the bull for you.
Yeah.
This instance, I'm actually calf calling to try to get the elk to turn his head.
So that I can see
Joe
the
can
head.
count the points, right?
Yeah.
Because we got to see 3 before he can shoot. And then from there, you were at full
So
draw again.
I let down a second time. As it starts to move, I draw. And when it moves, I see like a crown on one side, 3 points.
Yeah.
And at that point, I know that it's a legal bull. This time when it stops, it's behind 2 trees where I can't see, and the trees are like right in front of me. So the bull is standing over there. I think he's quartering to me at that point, slight quartering to. And I had to lean out. So I make a move where I lean out. And even at that, it wasn't a hard quarter to. It was one of those that I knew that I could put it right in there in that pocket, and I didn't. That arrow, and I think when I leaned out, I think I changed form and didn't correct that. You know, I might have canned it even a little bit, And when I let fly, it sounded like I hit him with a baseball bat, man.
Sounds like plywood.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Correct. And and if you've been bow hunting long enough, and I've had enough people with me that I'm guiding that has done this, and as soon as I heard that noise, I was like, dang it, man.
Yeah.
I knew exactly, and I turned around and I said, shoulder. And the bull goes off, and it's so thick, I can't see where he's at that point. Trav can still see him, but I can't see him at that point.
We stopped him in the willows another like 15, 20 yards
Inside.
ahead of where he was going. There was a really thick willow patch. So he went in there and he stopped. And he stood there for, what, 30 seconds or 45 seconds?
Then started to go off.
And then he busted off to the left, and we lost sight of him then. But
Well, it hit him so hard, and the fact that I'm shooting, Luis bullets, with the power I have in my bow and as hard as it hit, I really thought I might have got 6 inches, and which made me sick, right? So we immediately backed out and we left. And
I want to make a quote here because my bullets were framed down to how you wanted and not how I wanted.
Oh, here we go.
Let's just make that clarification. Okay.
So I'm shooting an arrow that is probably 100 grains heavier than any arrow I've ever shot, and doing that with the arrows that I've shot previously, I have shattered leg bones, shattered them. And so when I heard this crack, I thought for sure, and I shot a hog with these arrows on y'all's place that went through front part right here and went all the way out the hip on the other side. I truly believe that in my mind, I thought I got 6 inches, so I was sick to my stomach, and I was already telling myself, I'm punching my tag, I'm done, I'm gonna have to track this thing for the rest of the hunt.
Right.
And so we left for a while, and look, I know bow hunting. I understand. I've had to console a lot of bow hunters that have been in this position.
Sitting here in this table.
Yeah.
You be one of
here
them.
at this table.
But I take pride in being a finisher. I always have.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. And so we spent about 2 hours, we come back, and I mean, it wasn't, from where I hit him, it probably wasn't 6 feet where you found the arrow?
it was right. I think he turned, and when he turned, he snapped the arrow off right at the broadhead farrow. And literally it was laying right there. You had went down the trail and around, and Carrie went ahead of me, and the arrow was right beside her. I grabbed it and looked at it, and I'm like, there was not much on it at all. So
No.
we took it to you so you could see what,
Yeah.
determine what you figured.
No, it broke right at the broadhead,
Yeah.
at the insert, and
Not an inch.
yeah.
Not an inch of
So
Yeah.
there's a 3x2 with a broadhead in the shoulder, at the flesh wound. I mean, I don't think it dripped 3 drops of blood.
No, there was
So,
not much at all.
I know the critter's okay.
Yeah.
I know he's hurting a little bit, but he's going to recover.
He'll be back fighting in no time.
Yeah, absolutely. But so that's on me. I had a opportunity that I didn't finish on. That's me.
But what do you think was it the mistake? You leaned out a little bit, or
changing your anchor?
I think I changed my anchor, and I'm used to looking down an arrow, and it always goes where I look at it. So when I leaned out this time, now using a release, it's a totally different deal. And
makes sense, Joe.
and in my head, I don't think like that still, right? I've adapted a lot of things like drawing ahead of time, which I used to never.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, well, that's good. Now, the only thing is, like, you drew way ahead of time this time where you had to draw 3 times. And look, that's hard. It's like with these bows, when you let down and have to draw again,
second draw, it's
second draw is like, it takes a lot, man.
Impossible.
And then you drew 3 times. So I'm like, holy crap, that must have been exhausting.
And you're right. I'm standing back because I'm at about 40 yards. He's at 20. Manano and Carrie were up ahead doing the videotaping, and I was another 10 back from them. I was watching Joe and watching that elk come through. I knew when I was throwing my calls to get it to do what we wanted, Joe was drawing at the perfect time every time. And even the third time he went, it was like, perfect. You actually drew, and I didn't make a sound. You drew, and that stopped the elk, just like we always talk about, right? And I was like, I was thinking in my head, dang, that's picture perfect. And then, the shot was gone. I was like, theoretically, the hunt itself was textbook.
No, every part of it up to that point, everything that we did, you know, Carrie was in camera A position, and Manano kept
Well, I was, and then he cut me off, so then you have to see me go under his arm.
You guys, you will see the video that was taken by triple camera A.
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
It hasn't been edited yet.
No, what Manano is actually is camera B with camera A tendencies.
I
figured that out. So we figured.
No, but Carrie's work with the camera has been impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, the pictures that she's taking, and
which,
just
by the way,
capturing the right moments.
She got you, she got me, she got Beto.
Oh, she got pictures of everybody.
She's dangerous, man. She's dangerous.
She go out in the public. Only Mananos are allowed to be out. And
we got a deal. We got a deal.
The only compromising pictures are. There's nothing of Chow.
No, I have one of Chad.
Oh, do you have?
Daryl.
Okay. Okay.
So what we'll do while we're talking right now is I'm gonna flash all of these photos that Carrie has taken of not that one, bro.
If you're interested in some of those pictures, just DM me and I'll take care of you.
But actually, what I'm gonna say is, if Manana would have let me finish, is that we would have flashed all the photos that she's taken of us asleep. Because nobody was safe, and if you fell asleep, you know, I think for
you got
me,
like 15.
No, I think I fell asleep once, and she took like
one time.
She took like 15 photos.
Was it one time you fell asleep in 15 photos, or 15 times you fell asleep in one photo?
No,
one time or 3.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, I am somebody that when you're in the truck, why waste that time, right? You know, get some
motto from now on. Fall asleep while you're driving.
In minutes. Fell asleep in minutes.
Sleeping Beauty over there.
I think we would be remiss not to let the killers in the group have a say in how. And this is what I want to get to. Everybody that's hunted together has made a plan, right? And they executed the plan to perfection. Sometimes we're going to be elk hunting, and the elk don't read the script where we can finish, right? But when you make a plan and you get in that critter's bubble, right, and you get within 3 feet of sealing that deal, your plan was good, right? The setups have been tight because of the terrain that we deal with, and stuff like that's going to happen, right? But I really feel like we've made solid plans together, executed those plans, and then had trouble finishing for various reasons, right? But at the end of the day, we knew what we were doing to get in tight with those elk, and we made that happen.
And some of those reasons are the same reasons that we struggled even last year.
Yes.
You know, when you hunt, we hunt thick crap all the
Absolutely.
time. And you got to have everything happen, and, you know, these animals are trying to survive, right?
That's right, and they do a good job of it.
But we're out there, man, and so we had a bet going on between two groups about who was going to
kill a moose or an elk.
Yeah, who was going to put one of those down first, right?
Draw first blood.
And all of a sudden, I get a text from, and this is how Luis is, right? This is how
standing him in the morning.
He's like Chav. Chav used to do this in college.
Oh, really?
College, he used to be able to get the information on games ahead of time before they showed up on TV and make bets with people. See, Chav, you, you got to watch the quiet, sneaky ones, right?
And so we have how old I am. It was a teletype thing that came over. A ticker tape, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this guy won the 100-yard dash. Oh, upset. Okay. It came on TV later on that night, you know, live, supposedly.
Supposedly live. Yeah. So we have this bet going, and all of a sudden I get the text, and it's like, what the heck is this about? But he didn't even say it that way. What the heck is this about, man? That you guys didn't include us in this bet? And we were
just found out about this bet.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? How come you guys didn't include us in this bet? And And these guys were all like, well, yes.
We didn't want to take your money.
We don't want to take your money. What else they say? Put your mouth where your money is. Or
put your money where your mouth. There you go. And so all of a sudden he's like, okay, I want to do it. And we're like, all right, it's on.
Yeah.
And then it's like
all of us are like, that fool has killed something already. He's already killed. He ain't got a sure thing.
But the original beds, because we were just at the table having a little bit of snacks, and it was actually Gilbert and Joe.
Yeah.
Gilbert's talking trash again.
There it goes.
And then it was trash again. Gets those juices flowing.
Exactly.
Man, it was almost like a $500 bet before
I know.
It
was racking up.
It was getting good. Right? So I knew I'd get the best out of him. He knew he'd get the best out of me. And that's, man, we push each other every day to be better and get better. And, you know, this cat, I've watched him all year put the work in. Man, I mean, the guy's, he doesn't like working out, I can tell y'all that right now. He absolutely hates it, right? But when he gets up here, he's never going to get beat again, right? And he shoots, he puts the time in with his equipment, he's a student of the game, his calling has gone through the roof. I mean, he's a real student. And then you put him with the commissioner, right? Commissioner Gordon, Flash Gordon, and a true athlete in himself that can actually get it done and move in different places. And these guys formulated a plan. They, I'm gonna let them take it over. But they find a bull, okay? They find this bull and they execute a plan in an evening, and then really get it done the next morning.
After putting like 50 miles.
Yeah, after putting 50 miles on their feet, right?
Pants and shoes and underwear.
And it's competing with steps with each other.
Right.
Yeah. How many steps do you have right now, by the way?
Well, more than you for sure.
I'm not sure now.
Well, and I'll tell you a quick story about the step challenge. That it was kind of informal and it kind of grew day over day. So, you know, yesterday we were out in the woods and you know, still grinding, and then we look at the, you know, he asked me, how many steps you got? And I was like, well, how many you have? And we start competing, right? And then I end up having like a couple hundred more steps than he does, right? And he's like, well, how come is that possible? You've got, I have he goes, I have 7.1 miles, you have 7.09, and you have more steps than I do. And he goes, and I have less calories burned? And he goes, well, yeah, that's the way it goes. And he goes, oh, well, wait a minute. So that only means that my body is more efficient and I'm in better shape than you are. And I go, well,
that's a fact.
I said, absolutely right. Yeah. And everybody knows that you're in better shape than I am, but that's not what we're competing here with. We're looking at steps. Stay focused. Okay? It's like, don't get out of your deal, right? Yeah. So, you know, and I just have to say, I'm extremely thankful with everybody. You know, Darryl, we've been sharing bunk, Manano, Darryl, and I, and an absolute fabulous person. Every night I get here, he's like, he gets upset at me. I was like, hey, what's going on, man? You went out today and you didn't tell me, well, you know, how was your day? Tell me, you know. So, you know, you know, we sit down, we share stories. Incredible person. I had the opportunity, you know, these two guys have been hunting together the whole trip, but then aside from that, I had the opportunity to pretty much hunt with everybody else in the team, and it's just wonderful people all around. I had so much laughs the day I hunted, you know, with Carrie and Travis, and then when we went out with the boys, it was just laugh after laugh, right? I mean, you know, so remember, guys, when next time you get to shoot an arrow at an animal, just gonna send it. So, you know, we've got beautiful memories and things to, you know, to take with us from this trip that you know, are going to be with me for the rest of my life, and for that I'm very appreciative. And I don't want to get emotional, but Jason, you know, when I met Jason, it was instant click. You know, this guy.
You fell in love.
Yeah, I did.
You say I got a new boyfriend.
So everybody knows Manano's been extremely jealous. Okay, he tells me every day, it's like, well, are you gonna come to camp and eat with your boyfriend, or what's gonna happen here? You know? And so that's okay, Manano. That's okay.
No.
I still love you too. Okay, my heart is pretty big. But no, Jason.
So is his head.
My heart is bigger. Jason has been an incredible person from day one, an incredible host. He's been extremely patient. The guy is an incredible caller too. All these guys are great at calling and understanding elk and knowing this area, right? Jason is super knowledgeable. You know, very well experienced hunter. I learned so much from Jason. One of the things that I'm terrible at is the chuckles. And one day we were sitting down, and you know, he started making fun of my chuckles. You know, and I told him to say, "Don't make fun of my bull chuckles, because my bull's got COVID. Okay, so you better be respectful." But yeah, I mean, we've been sharing a lot of, you know.
How bad is it, Jason? Huh?
He's got COVID.
Yeah.
He's got long COVID.
Yeah. All I know is one time I was like, "Bro, don't do that
again." maybe we can get.
I know it's rude to laugh, but I couldn't help
could
myself.
Probably teach you. Yeah, we'll get Manano. Give some lessons.
But Jason is a beast. The guy is extremely prepared. In the woods. I mean, you see how he packs. It's just amazing. You know, I thought I packed heavy. This guy's got everything that we need out there. You know, I told my wife, I said, "Don't worry, if anything happens to me out there, you know, I'm taken care of." This guy is just, you know.
He's got something for all of us.
Yeah.
Literally.
But no, he's treated me like friggin' royalty, man. Thank you so much. We've put in the work. I think at this point we're probably over 65 miles that we put out there, and that's a lot for this area and how thick this stuff is out here. So you know, one day we actually went and we decided to spend an all dayer out in the field, and we got there, you know, got up 4 o'clock in the morning, got there early, and throughout the day, I actually took about 3 naps because you know, it was exhausting.
Yeah, we saw.
We got that recorded. Yeah, there's one in the floor.
Pictures, Joe.
There's one on the floor right next to the.
Here's the picture, Joe.
to the truck that.
He didn't even make it in the truck.
Son of a gun.
He's just curled up on the ground by the trailer. Gone. So I got my steps in while he slept. Just walked around it.
Yeah. Sneaky son of a gun, man.
Yeah. So you're at 66. He's at 67.
No, not really. Yeah, we'll see. We'll finalize those numbers.
We'll post them later. We'll post the results later.
But so that day we're like, okay, well, you know, let's head back to camp, and we then happened to see this bull and a cow grazing in the middle of a clover field, and we're like, oh my God, you know, there they are. I mean, how do we get to them? So we sneak up and actually get it's kind of like a clear cut, and these elk are in pockets, you know, here, and the volumes here are also different, right? I mean, you don't get to see, or we haven't at least been able to see, big herds of elk. You know, we see them in 2 or 3s, and
that's one of the things. That's one of the things that I want to pull out as we're going through this, and that's one of them is that, you know, it's a lot harder to find elk when they're singles or doubles, you know, when they're not in groups of 20 or 15 like that. But you're right, it's you know, the group size, and they are in small pockets and spread all over the place, right?
And they're real tied to agriculture too, man.
They are.
And you can tell that. So they hit on the agriculture part. That field was loaded with alfalfa and clover.
Yeah. And they have everything they need right there.
Right there.
I mean, they have the water, they have the food, and then, you know, in the small pockets, then they have a cow
dense
there.
pockets, so that they have the cover.
Yeah. And so there was this big square. I don't know how big is that square of thick bush there, Jason?
160 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
it's a quarter section. The whole thing's a quarter section.
So we're able to make our way to the edge of the wood there, and then start walking up the line, trying to get cover to see if we can put eyes on the bull again from the corner of that field, and we do, and we see him out there. We see the bull elk racing towards the middle of the clear cut, and then we see the cow grazing right there by the edge of the tree line. And so, yeah, I mean, this is all happening really fast too, because at the same time we were fighting daylight. We had, how much did we have, Jason? How many minutes? Like 13, 15?
20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes before
legal light was over. Yep.
Legal light was over. So we get there, and we're like, okay, we just, we kind of discussed it. It's like, we can't, I don't know that I want to call from where we are, because they were 120 something yards out. Yeah. So I didn't know how the reaction was. I felt that knowing where they were, we could sneak up through the woods and then get closer before we actually started doing anything, right? We started going through the woods, and it's thick, man, and it's just like, everything you step on cracks. It's like walking on, dry pasta or cornflakes, it's bad. And and then we decided to go in, and I'm thinking, well, maybe, Jason was going to be behind me. But in my mind, I'm thinking, I was like, man, I don't know. I'd rather him stay back there. But we couldn't really discuss this plan because everything happened on the fly.
It was real dynamic.
So I started going through the woods real quiet. The wind was perfect because it was blowing from the clear cut into this deal. And then I was able, long short, I was able to sneak up, close to 50 yards to where they were. It was thick. And he stayed behind. And so I started calling, because one of those steps the cow spooked, and she kind of ran away from the tree line, went past the bull, and the bull got really alert. And so I thought they were going to leave, so I started cow calling. And when I started cow calling, the cow turned around and went back, trotting back to the tree line, like, hey, I got a friend in the tree line. So she went right back at it, and the bull. The interesting thing about this interaction was that the bull was only doing what the cow was doing. He couldn't care less about anything else. He would hear the cow calls and wouldn't react physically, and he would just do what the cow would do.
In other words, follow the cow.
Follow the cow.
Right.
And then
that happened with human beings as well.
Yes. So the bull starts going into following the cow. The cow gets into the tree line and starts kind of looking for me, and the bull, instead of actually getting into the tree line, starts coming down this way, and he's helping me out, calling from way back there, but we can't communicate. At some point the bull stops, and he was coming on a string, and I thought I was going to have a shot at this bull at 20 yards. At some point the bull stops. And then I don't have a shot, and he goes into the tree line, and then the cow, pegs me, and I'm from here to where Bryan is at, to where that cow stood up, and she was just looking at me, big ears that just on my face, and I'm like, I can't move. And then the bull started coming in through the bush, and potentially was going to give me a shot through the bush, but the wind was wrong. And I'm like, I have to make a move. I have to turn around and try to get a shot on that bull, even if it means spooking the cow that is right next to me. And I did that. The cow spooked. She went just 40 yards, 30 yards, and then turned again, and the bull started to come. But at that point, that wind, I think they caught a whiff of it, and the cow didn't like it. She spooked a little bit. The bull is following the cow, and then they slowly kind of disappeared. And we were both profusely cow calling, trying to see if we could bring them both back, but then we ran out of time.
Yeah, like even. Now, for all of that adventure and length of that encounter with that critter, the next day wasn't so long and.
No, about 4 minutes.
So I got another
half an hour just to explain the next day. That way you have enough content for it. You can do part 1 and part 2, Joe. Don't be selfish about this.
Make it a series.
Yeah. He always does that. You probably need it. That way we get a break from another podcast, you know.
And that's Gonzalez with a Z.
Yes. Appreciate it.
Gonzalez with a Z.
No, but I mean, I think the reason why I wanted to like give that detail is because 2 things. One, for me, it was a great realization to see the behavior of the elk, based on, because this is one of the first times really that I could actually see them physically respond to what I'm doing with the call.
No, I think all of that, and I was being serious. I mean, that was everything that happened in that evening in that little amount of time.
For what's coming.
It wasn't as dramatic that way the next day, but it was pretty dang cool.
It was super cool. And when I came out, he was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" He was worried that he was, making the right calls or not, or and I was like,
all that
"No,
self-doubt,
man."
right?
Yeah. And what I tell you, it's like, "No, man, it was freaking fun. I had a blast, right?" And so, he tells me, "What do you tell me that day as far as like what should we do next day?"
Well, Luis looked at the map because I said, we'll just come back here in the morning. He said, well, it's just a small piece of grass. They're not going to stay. And I'm like, oh, trust me. He's in there right now. He's going to be there all night long. He'll be in this field in the morning.
Which is another point.
Right.
Okay, so you think about the things that we just talked about so far about the small amount that stay together, the numbers and how they are.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like these guys that kept going back to the same bull after there is that they don't leave. I mean, they might go a little distance here or there, but they have everything they need and they don't really have to go anywhere, right? I mean, there's so much food here. It's unbelievable between the agriculture, the clover, the
beans,
the Devil's Club.
Devil's Club.
I mean, there was everywhere just so much food and so much water,
Alfalfa,
right?
Clover,
Yeah, there everything there.
water
So
all
I think
over.
that's a good point. So go ahead with what you're saying. Jim.
Yeah, I just, knowing that area and having hunted there for a number of years, the habits of those elk, unless they're really, really driven out, they don't leave. So we went back first thing in the morning, nothing on the field at dark, so we had a nap. And at the right time, just went and checked, and he was there, almost exactly where he was the night before.
How did you check?
Binocular.
Glassed them.
You saw it.
We stayed.
Shooting light, and then we're able to actually.
So
see
he was
him.
in the open at day.
He was in the open.
Okay.
He was in the open.
By himself this time.
By himself.
Yeah, no cow.
Uh-oh.
No cow.
Lost the girl.
She slept in, or she got taken.
Yeah.
And so we almost did the exact identical plan. The wind was the same, the elements were the same, and Luis snuck into the bush, and I stayed back, and I could kind of see him through the corner of the trees. And so when we went to set up, I said, just give me a thumbs up when you want me to cow call. And I'm looking through the binoculars, and Luis is like this, watching the bull.
Well, and let me give you an explanation of that. The reason why I did that so quick was because my intention was to get a little bit further into the woods. But the moment I put the first step into the woods, that elk had us pegged, and he was raising his head and kind of lowering, kind of like the little trick that they do, that they fake that they're going to lower, and then they just raise the head again. And I'm like, man, I know that you have us pegged. So, and he doesn't like it. He's kind of feeling the heebie-jeebies maybe, and he started grazing.
The what?
The heebie-jeebies. Betanos. So
That's a beto.
he's grazing. I noticed that he started kind of slowly walking back into the thick tree line. And I'm getting worried. I'm like, oh, it's time to call. Like, we need to stop him from getting in there, and it's time to call. So when I see that, he's not being able to see that because of how thick it is. I start going, and you can tell him what you were seeing.
I wasn't seeing anything. I had binoculars. I'm looking, and I finally look, and he's just the most aggressive thumbs up in history. I think he threw his shoulder out, and I was like,
it's like the first time I saw an elk. You remember?
so I just started cow calling. Joe! Very much the same. Very much the same. How the bull didn't see that surprises me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, now you want me to call? Okay. I see the thumbs up.
Yeah, but
so we started cow calling.
You started cow calling just before he actually hit the
just
tree line.
before he hit the tree line.
See, I thought he actually made it into the tree line. So I'm with my bow looking through the bushes and through the trees to see if I can see him, if he's coming or what's going on. And I'm like, oh man, I don't want him to be gone. And with the corner on my left eye, I see this brown thing just coming.
He's coming on a string.
Pretty fast on the right on the outside of the tree line. And I'm like, oh crap, he's right there. And then I just like, I had my glasses on, which I've been using this trip because,
You're old.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm over 40 already, so believe it or not, I'm over 40. And then so I'm like, but I know that I can't shoot with my glasses on because the bridge of my glasses is in the middle of my peep when I draw. So I take off my glasses, throw them on the ground, grab the rangefinder, and I'm ranging him, but
he's coming.
50 yards and he's coming in hot, and I was like, well, by the time he's parallel to me, I'm gonna have to stop him. I'm gonna have to range him. I'm a mess. I mean, this just happened way so fast that I didn't know what to do. And then, sure enough, when he gets parallel to me, I cow call. And he stops. And sure enough, he stops, and there's a tree right on the kill zone. And I'm like, crap! And I'm at full draw, so I'm making 2-3 steps forward, and then I'm like, I'm guessing 40 at this point, and I let loose. And man, I was shaking like a leaf, and I think I pulled it up. I think I made it worse. I think I misjudged the distance. Like I said, I was a wreck. That Ferris arrow, man, goes way high and skips him right on the top of his back. Good line, but way high. My heart sunk, man. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just freaking missed this bull. And then, but as soon as I missed, it was like a retake of what happened in Colorado. Mm-hmm. It immediately started cow calling. He was also cow calling. So we're all yeah. And the bull kind of runs a little bit and stops broadside way further. But then he turns again and starts coming slowly frontal. And I'm like, well, it's going to have to be a frontal shot. And then when he started coming frontal to me, I went quiet. And he kept on calling. So when he got close, he turned around broadside. And this time I knew, okay, I got the right pin now this time. So I shot him at 30 yards. And but he couldn't see. You couldn't see, right? I mean, you couldn't. You saw.
I saw the arrow go through him. Like I saw it come out the other side and go in the grass, and then I saw the bull start to run the other way. So I just kept getting more aggressive with the cow calling to try to keep him in sight and make him come back. And then I was certain that I was getting attacked by a grizzly bear, having a yard sale, because he came out of the trees, arms in the air, GoPro goes flying, bow goes flying. We did it! We did what? Don't hurt
He's
me.
like, what's going on? What's happening? I just dogpiling. We did it. And it was just arrows going everywhere.
Did you get the I love you, man?
On video. Oh, yeah. There's some audio there that we may have to delete.
Yeah. And sure enough, man, when we told, he's like, really? Why is he right there? He's right there. And I was being so loud because I saw him fall, right? I mean, he ran, I don't know, maybe 30 yards and then stopped and started, getting weak, and then he went, and fell down. That's when I ran out. And then with all the commotion and excitement, I'm sure he heard it, and he tried to get up. And so he got up and probably went another 10 yards, but then fell down again. So, yeah, that moment, man, it was unbelievable. The emotions, man, and the hard work that, we had put together, and everybody has, and sharing information and trying to get it done. It was like, thank you, Lord.
You know, it was special. It was special. So certainly one of the hunts that will stay with me forever.
So Elk Bros is on the board in Canada.
On the board.
On the board. Louis Straw's first blood.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned in this story, you guys did more napping than all of us combined.
I think we also did more miles too. We earned the nap.
Well, what I want to do is we've heard a lot of stories about the elk, but I think the cool part has been the camaraderie as well. And I want to especially talk here in a minute about tactics and how that's different, because I want people to hear some of that from the guys that are from here, and especially our people that are in Canada. You know, I know we have a lot of people that listen to us from even here in Alberta, but all over Canada and stuff, which is really cool. We're going to get to Chav and Darryl here in a second, but I want, you know, Carrie, you've been here in camp with a bunch of guys and out with a bunch of hooligans, and how much fun has it been for you? How's this been?
It's been great. You know, I've had the opportunity to actually be out with almost everybody. Yes, you know, we took Darryl and Chav out for a hunt and dropped them off and whatever, but you know, I had the great pleasure of being with Manano. You know, he cooks amazing food. You know, we're definitely not starving in camp. But, you know, I pushed him, you know, right from the second day. I'm like, where's your reeds, buddy? Like, come on. Like, you gotta call. No. I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you can. You didn't come all this way to not practice. And man, oh man, we finally got him out there, and it was like unleashing a beast. The next thing you know, he's bugling and cow calling and
whacking trees.
But he's actually asking you to filming. He's saying he's a model. He's saying, I want you to say all those things, because when I tell people, you know,
that is not true. That was Joe's idea.
Right? I don't know.
Oh no, it was your idea. I'm a model. I'm a model.
This body, he says, right?
Okay, so we have
camo.
We have great camo that we've been testing. That we've been testing here. 2-0 camo. It's the veil. It's the veil camo from 2-0.
It's awesome. Veil pattern,
yeah, which has been
amazing.
It's been amazing. It's just been incredible, and I. You know,
you start taking
I have the camera, and you know, Manano's with me, so I'm limited on who I can take pictures of. I didn't want to take pictures of, you know, it was tough for the angle of myself, even though it might have been better, but so I was taking pictures of Manano, and I tell you what, Manano really would be a great outdoor model.
Yes.
I mean, somebody to shoot pictures of outdoors. No, I mean, in the camo, you know, so I took some pictures of that, put it on Instagram and stuff like that, and I was like, dude, man, yeah, you could. He's like, I'm a model. I said, yeah, you could be a model. I was giving him strokes and everything, and, you know, and then he takes it way over the line. You know, next thing we know, he's a underwear model.
Oh no!
I've seen pictures. I mean, I think those need to be put.
I don't. Yeah, no. You know what? There are some things that should never be seen for other people to be not. You know, we don't want people to be traumatized. Oh man, I'm telling you. So
I'm gonna tell you one thing. I got some picture for you.
I got your back, buddy.
So she got my back.
Oh, I see.
I got your back,
Some
buddy.
mounds as well of you. So.
You know, I got to witness it firsthand. His confidence growing. I got to hunt with him and Miss Carrie and Dylan, and man, I'm telling you, the guy, once he figured out he could bugle a little bit and get that wheezy bugle going on, and his confidence just started growing. His cow calling's come, you know, so far. He's got a great bull mew when he uses the tube, and it's been fun to watch his confidence grow. And look, this is a group that if you wear your heart feelings on your sleeve, you're going to get them hurt. They're going to make fun of you. They are going to rag on you.
Oh, it's been so much fun.
We got the come and go bugle.
Yeah, the come and go bugle. Yeah. So my buddy Bryan showed us the come and go bugle, and You know, Luis has been calling cats for a long time, but he's seriously gotten so much better at calling. But
got the COVID bull.
Right, the COVID bull.
RC likes to roll down the undergrowth, you know, and clear the way for everybody else.
I got it on video.
You're such a great. I'm your team player, RC. That's all I can say, man.
Clean the brush. Clean the brush.
And look, RC Knox has killed more bulls than anybody here combined, right? We call him the legend for a reason. He's a very good caller in his own right? But even he has learned some things here at camp, calling and why we do certain calls and when you do certain calls. So it's been educational more than anything, but watching guys' confidence grow like Manano. This cat is an absolute assassin in the woods, right? And you arm him with being able to call elk, man, it's absolutely brutal.
Okay. So let's talk about some other confidence builders because, you know, last year, you know, Chav was at camp last year. He was hiking into his own blind. Right. He was, you know, using his sticks to. It was difficult getting over logs, but he was doing that last year and stuff. But this year, it's been a different deal. Him and Darryl have been together. Chav, tell everybody what that's been like, man.
Well, it's been pretty amazing, you know, because I've followed you forever and learned a lot, you know. But it's different here, and Darryl's got it down, you know. I remember Luis talking about, can I use a machete? And this is Southern Rockies where it's not really thick, but the jungle here. I imagine this is probably what the Amazon looks like. You know? And some of the places Darryl took me through, the grass is pretty high and you don't know what's down there, like you said, softballs. Yeah. I fell one time and, you know, I just wanted to throw the bow and make sure I landed okay. But, you know, he's got really good strategy and there are a lot of times where I had to look back to see if it was him calling or if something was coming in. You know, he did a really good job on that. And I lost my train of thought, but yesterday, or was it yesterday or was it this morning?
They all start to rub together, yeah.
You know, we walked in this one area which he called their secondary bed or
bedroom,
their bedroom, and he set me up.
Why secondary bedroom?
First one's on this side of the trail, the secondary's on that side.
So
there's two. Yeah, right close.
They're habitual to these two places.
Yeah, with a clear cut right down the middle.
Yeah, okay.
So we got off the clear cut and went to bedroom one, and he set me up.
Yeah.
And he called you know, a time or two, and then he bugled, and we got an immediate response about 100 yards.
Oh yeah, we were close. I couldn't believe it. It was just like, bam! Right. He was there like right now.
And I'm looking down there, and you know, 1001, 1002, 1003, and I turned to look at Darryl, and the bull's right there. You know, like 20 steps away, or a little less than that.
He was, I think he was like 100 yards out, and I called a couple times, and he didn't say anything, and then when I finally just said, hello, I'm here, with a bugle, and he just, we were like, oh, we looked at each other. We both pointed the same direction. And then he must have turned and came straight to us. And then he just burst through the spruce trees right in front of me at 16 yards and stopped.
Yeah,
and I was holding the
decoy. You got
the decoy.
Yeah. And for the long, and he was there for a long time.
Yeah,
he kept getting lower, trying
to see.
And I could see him over there, but there was no way I can get anything through what was there.
Yeah. So, but you had him at 12 yards at that point, or?
Yeah, it was 12 yards from me, probably, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, me it was 16.
So. But you said you could see, and this is again.
Pieces of them.
So he had pieces, open patches that he could see of the animal. And I tell you, there'd be a lot of people that would have tried to stick one of them patches.
I've tried that before in the past. It never works.
No, it doesn't.
Or you can wound
your arrow's going to go, you know, so yeah, I could see it right there. And it was like, oh, maybe Darryl will get a shot. But he was calling, so he wasn't going to shoot. But he stayed there for a long time. So for a lot of people listening from Canada, what's your basic overall strategy when?
On that one? Well, that one, once we got into a place where the actual elk live and they're in their bedroom, and if they're not there mingling around or anything, they're going to be within the vicinity. So we just kind of went in there and I started cow calling, mewing just to let them know, you know, we're here and we're some other group of elk. and we're coming to take over your territory. And then when you let out a advertising bugle just to let them know we're in your bedroom and you're not here, it's like, who's been sleeping in my bed? These guys. It's like, and that bull just like screamed at us as soon as he heard. Yeah. And I couldn't even count to 20, and he was there.
He got there really fast.
And we didn't hear him either. It was like, because the
silent.
wind was blowing about 30 kilometers per
time.
hour, and then it was just like, poof, he just appeared.
So you've had 2 major encounters with bulls where one, he screamed and come running in.
Yep.
And one that never said a word.
Silent, yeah.
And busted you guys. Basically.
Exact same place.
That was that was this morning. Yeah, and we went in there, same thing. I looked at, there was probably about 10 more trees that were busted over about 6 feet tall. It'd break the saplings over and say, this is my bedroom, right? And we got in there and looked and said, well, we're going to set up the same place, but I'll put him farther in a different spot where he can sit up against a log, and he'll be right on the edge within 20 yards of where they're probably going to come out of. And we got it set. We called for half an hour. And nothing, and the wind started picking up, and we're in there in the smoke, and they weren't saying anything at all, but he was coming in silent, or a satellite was coming in silent. And we packed up, got our stuff together, and backed out to the trail, said 4 words to each other, and crack, and turned, and it was right there.
He was right there.
He came I think it was a different bull, but he came out like
almost same spot,
15 yards from the other bull, and he would have been 20 yards from where Travis sits.
So two real important points out of this to throw out, because again, as we're going through this, well, one, you guys have only been calling for about how long?
30 minutes there.
Yeah.
So patience.
Patience, right? And waiting a little longer, giving them their time to do their thing.
Yeah, especially when it's windy and smoky.
Absolutely. And then the other thing, it seems like the smoke really has shut them up, man. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because of I think the whole apex predator thing, number one, has changed how these guys vocalize, right? Yeah. And then when you have smoke that's taking away their ability to smell as well,
lose the sense.
I think they're very cautious about that. But and the other thing is you guys like what Jason and Luis dealt with was resident bull.
Yeah.
They're staying in an area, and not a very big, acreage area.
Yep.
And they're just like residing in there, and you pull them out. So this is 2 different cases.
Well, and I feel like ours had that same case. And the second day we go in there, we're about ready to pull out because we've already done the calf thing for so long, and he's not sounded off. But that morning, as soon as we went in there and started calf calling, the wolves start coming, right? And you hear them. Ooh, and I mean, if you guys have ever heard a wolf howl, it's totally different than a coyote. You boys from South Texas, we hear that every night before we go to bed. Them song dogs, they fire up, and you can hear them, howling forever. But a wolf, it will chill your soul when you hear it, man. And I'm very unassuming. I'm in Canada, right? It's a wolf.
Paw print.
And then we see a paw print that's big around as my hand, and that's a wolf print, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then we hear them in a distance, ooh, and then ooh, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're getting closer. And Dylan said, absolutely, they're getting closer. And you notice that those elk aren't talking, and they're a lot more quiet because these wolves are starting to move into this area. And sure enough, I mean, as soon as they kind of went quiet, that bull kind of popped off, right? But as soon as those wolves start coming in that area, those animals they shut up.
And they, or move out a little bit so they can come back, right?
And that could very well happen. What happened, we've gone back in there and tried to hunt that bull several other times, and they're not there. And they're not talking. They're not there, not talking, or the wolves moved them out.
I think even when that bull did pipe up, he was very quiet.
He was.
Yeah. He was very quiet because they don't want the wolves to hear them, but they also want the calves to go to them.
Right.
And go ahead, Luis.
So far, we've had 9 days of hunting, right?
Right. Yeah.
Jason, in the 9 days, we've heard 2 bugles. Is that correct? That's it. Just 2 bugles.
I think I've heard 1.
I've heard,
I think
heard
I've
4 or
only
5.
myself.
Well, and the bull that
he
Luis
would've
shot never
hiked
made
off
a
in the
sound.
field
Made the
several
one, 8
times.
the one morning.
Couple
Yeah,
were
that
good.
one.
And then
If I had them all, it'd be
we
one.
heard the one moan, but
Yeah.
the one that you shot there, he didn't bugle
Yeah,
at
he
all.
never bugled.
We went night bugling
No.
the other night. We heard
We heard
bugle.
one.
We would have
One
heard maybe one.
Brian's heard 40.
Yeah.
I don't know. Banana also heard Banana also
Guys
heard
gotta get some
15
hearing
that day.
aids.
Oh,
So-
Banana heard 50.
We've heard about 50.
Yeah.
So
About
that's
12, I believe.
12.
that's another thing though, that the style of these guys bugling is different from us as well. It's gosh, it's more sultry, quiet, and I don't want to say passive, but it starts out very, very light and then builds a little bit in tone.
Agreed.
It's not a whole bunch of growl and coming out hard with it.
They do chuckle though.
Yeah, it's
They do
it's
chuckle
more like
quite a
it's
bit.
a lot like almost like the wolf in a sense. They just kind of start going with it and then you raise up. So I hear that, but the question I want to ask though is, and remind everybody, is we're talking early season. We started here August 25th, right? Today is the 2nd of September.
Yeah.
We're talking very early season. So when we're talking these bulls that are resident bulls in these small areas right now that are basically, you're able to, I don't know if you can pattern them, but you can find them in those areas,
In
right?
those pockets, yeah.
Is this going
Yeah.
to change? I mean, to me, I'm thinking, all right, when it comes time to start
Right.
looking for cows, I think now they're going to start taking off to different areas. Is that wrong? Is that right?
We basically do the same thing that we're doing right now, just to be a few days later. We pound the roads, jump in the truck, go night bugling, jump
The
on the
bulls
quad.
sound off.
Do they sound off more though?
They will,
Like,
yeah.
Start
Yeah.
getting a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
more
way
more,
responsive, vocal
As,
responsive.
as the rut goes on, you start getting some cows coming in, the bulls are going to just start, going
which
off.
which helps a
You're
lot too,
competing.
because then you know
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're just not sitting there
Yeah.
shooting blanks, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you're just
right.
like you're getting some interaction.
And I think even with the smoke, I still think they're going to start sounding off.
Yeah.
So
And
they have to.
And right now we're hunting one bull.
Right.
Yeah.
As it gets going, you're going to have your one herd bull, but now you're going to also have
Satellite
satellites.
But that's what I'm saying. I think some of these bulls that are separated, some of these smaller bulls that are separated and
themselves.
residing in areas
Yeah.
are going to go in search.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's what
Which
we're
will
not
move
seeing
them out
right
of-
now.
Which will move them out of
Usually you can hear and see a searching bull, you know.
Satellite
Just
bull.
a bull, he's just out cruising along, he's bugling. We're not seeing any of that. We're not hearing
not
it.
yet.
Yeah,
It's
that's why you
just-
can pick them off in certain areas. 'Cause
Yeah.
they are there until that starts, and then once that starts, then they start on the move.
And I think
like a
that's
whitetail.
starting.
Yeah, and
because
what-
we're seeing bulls move out of their
Yeah.
bedroom type areas. We found some really good stuff, and I had even made this assumption that I think they change bedrooms when the wind switches.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
the mayor right here, he says absolutely. There's a primary and a secondary bedroom, and they
Yeah.
do it for wind purposes and maybe even for predator purposes, so they can escape for the predators.
Yeah, and they'll use different trails. Like Daryl's seen them come in and out of different trails,
Right.
just for that purpose as well. Hey, Daryl.
Yeah, for entrance and exit. Just
Yeah.
different escape route based on what's
Different
going on,
predator.
right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
But even
huge,
for you,
huge point though. I want that emphasized that these elk set themselves up with multiple escape
Yeah.
routes
Yeah,
because of
never know what's coming.
these predators too.
Yeah, in
right?
Alberta, because there's so many different predators. Like we've called in cougars, we've called in wolves.
Yep.
We've had them. You guys are lucky enough to have a wolf encounter
Yeah.
and have a wolf appear. Chav and I, we called in a coyote. Coyote snuck in. I saw ears coming through the bush. I thought it was a wolf at first, and then I got closer, and I'm like, okay, it's just a coyote. And then it stepped right out, and he got up.
He got lit up.
Yeah, Chav didn't know what was going on. All he heard was,
Yeah. Just another point I wanted to make about the bedroom thing is something that I haven't noticed down south is the bull will go by and snap all these little trees.
yeah,
And you
break
can
them
tell
all.
how fresh they are too. Where I don't see that down south. They just rub the big old pine trees and stuff. But all these little trees are like
That's
somebody
his
came by
address.
and went this.
I live
I mean
here.
up higher, but
We saw him push
They were just
over a
snapped, yeah.
whole tree.
Oh, yeah.
Pushed the whole tree over and raked it clean. And I mean, within the past couple days,
Yeah.
but even for you guys here in Canada though, this year in particular,
Has
there
been
is
odd.
there's new challenges even for you guys, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
the smoke being one, the heat, being another one,
yeah,
right?
that's right.
Loggers.
Yeah, you guys ran
A
into
lot,
and
of our
loggers too.
areas that we had planned and picked
Yeah.
and have scouted pre-season. Now there's heavy equipment in
Yeah.
there and skidders, and they're logging. And
Oh yeah, they're logging
running
it
into
out,
logging
right,
trucks, and it's like
Yeah.
these were wallows that were marked, and
Yeah.
and breeding areas that had been found and marked in previous seasons, and
That's sad.
they're gone.
So let's
that's going to push
we're
those
hunting
out a
public
little
land too.
bit.
We're not just hunting
Yeah.
against the elements and the animals. We're hunting against other hunters too.
Right.
So
Yeah,
pressure.
and we as a group hunt the same areas
Right.
all the time.
Right.
I mean, it's just, we got areas we've hunted 7-8 years together, and every other year there's animals there. Dylan killed or shot a bull last year in the opening day, where we took Joe opening day, and there wasn't a track. I mean, it was barren. It was like no elk even come through here, right?
Yeah,
It's
poor
like,
Trav, man,
I'm
he's been like, I'm
oh.
gonna take you to this honey hole, that
Yeah.
honey hole, this one, and we go there and he's scratching his head like, what in the
They're
heck?
not in
The
any
honey
of them.
barrel is
Trav,
drying
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Trav and Joe and I actually put quite a few miles on yesterday.
Yep.
And we watched a separation from activity from one side of a ridge to another side of the ridge. One side of this ridge was loaded with track and sign and rubs and actual elk droppings, and the other side you couldn't buy a track. And then we kind of figured out why.
Yeah.
Right? It
Yeah.
had a lot more pressure on that other side
There
than
was a
we ever
camp in
really
there,
knew
yeah.
about. There was a camp
Yeah,
in
large
there.
camp.
There were other people camped in there.
Yeah.
They, kind of claimed it as their own. And we actually met some fine people from that camp. If you're listening to this podcast, we appreciate you guys. The encounter was positive. They even invited us to come get some coffee. And
Yep.
sorry we didn't oblige you, but we had elk to kill, so we were going to turn around, give you guys y'all's respect, and go back to that other side. But we figured that out real quick, and that was the reason, the separation. So
Yeah.
these elk even are pressured by the hunting pressure as well, right? And it moves their patterns.
So let's talk about what your strategy is, because there's some things that people from below down in Montana and further down would struggle with some of that, because of you guys are trying to optimize getting on animals and your sleep time and the quality of your hunt. So your general strategy is what?
Well, we usually pick our areas with our pre-season scouting and everything, so we know where we're going to go right opening day. And then we obviously know that there is lots of hunters around. We're all on public and everything. We all have the same goal, is to harvest an elk.
Yeah.
So part of what we do is we go in and do quiet calling. We start out really quiet with just chuckles, moans, and groans. And lots of times you'll hear a bull answer back, but it does the same moan or groan or chuckle. And that's how we kind of move in. And then we treat it just like fishing. We cast our calls short, right close to us, and then slowly get further and further and further out. And
now that part's not really a whole lot different, but when I'm talking about, like, you guys, for us, it's like, we do morning and we have a lot of midday. We're out like 2 hours before daylight, and then we're able to actually do our night bugling when it turns dark and still be in camp before 10 o'clock, right?
So with that, we, like Joe said, we do our night bugling, but we're not getting back to camp till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Sometimes we've been out, and then you're up at 4:30.
But you're not doing an evening hunt, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we don't typically do our evening hunts. We'll do our morning hunts. We'll hit it hard in the mornings, and then we'll kind of relax around camp, have a nap in the afternoon, have our supper and everything, and then we use our evenings for more scouting.
Yeah.
And
so that you're ready for your hunt on the next day.
Exactly.
And they can get some sleep.
Yeah.
And you're scouting during the day while you are on the hunt as well.
Like we've been every day.
Double whammy.
Yeah. But you guys have actually shifted. Your night sleep becomes during the day.
Yes.
and then you're doing a nap in between your night bugling and your hunting, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And napping in the woods when you can.
Why aren't you out in the woods 2 hours before daylight?
Because we have noticed, we've had it where we get out there 2 hours before daylight, and the bulls here, when you start calling to them, they come, and they're coming quick. So if we're in the woods 2 hours before daylight, and even if we walk in 100 yards, just bugle over a ridge, or if we just bugle from the road, if we get an answer, that bull's typically coming in. At nighttime, when we locate, they're already in their bed or down in a feeding source. So they're more likely to stay where they are instead of the morning, right? Because the morning they're either going to go from their bed to their morning feeding area or from their night feeding to their bed.
There's a safety factor in that too.
I was going to say, not to mention the predators.
Yes.
It'd be an eerie feel, even if it is that elk. You're sitting out there in the dark and you hear twigs snapping and stuff coming up to you.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I think that shook home most with me is a lot of times you go do things by yourself. You guys don't do anything by yourself. You like to do it in groups out here.
Yeah. Most of the time, yes.
Yeah, well, it's important.
Except for the one night.
Sometimes.
Well, it's important. I mean, Trav will even tell you him and his wife don't go to thick stalks anymore, just because of the apex predators that are here. You know, I mean, look, we all been here for the last 9 days, and I have not personally seen a grizzly bear, but I seen grizzly bear dung, and 2 big, huge piles of it. It was steaming.
I thought it was yours, bro.
No. Y'all have that wrong. And I'm telling you right now,
I've seen them piles in New Mexico.
It's so impressive. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, that's a bear. But I was not thinking that it was a grizzly bear. And then Travis goes,
after the hunt.
Yeah, after the hunt, he goes, well, don't say nothing, but that was grizzly bear. And I'm like,
Beto has been very jumpy about grizzly bears here at camp too. Between Beto and RC, it's just, they're pretty nervous around camp here. They get pretty hard.
And you can't carry a handgun here.
We only had one bear here.
RC almost fell off the cot the other day when he heard a bear. And then Beto almost rolled down the stairs here the other day when he heard a bear.
Just understand it's coming.
Payback, son.
Payback.
Your point.
Beto will forget.
We're not allowed to carry sidearms in Canada. We can't have a pistol on us. We're not allowed. It's just a.
So what do you carry some stuff that's not a handgun? Really cool. What do you carry?
Yeah, my bino harness. I have pepper spray on the bottom, bear banger on the front, knife on the side, and that's just because.
So you can kill yourself if one's bites.
No. The thought of having your oh my god bear spray, it's in my pack over here. You come around the corner to a sound cubs, you got like 4 seconds to react with something.
Right.
3 options are better than 1 option.
Yeah.
And bear spray, you have to be within like 15-20 yards to use it. You don't want to be that close.
Heck no.
Right?
In your bino harness, you have your bear spray attached.
It's on the bottom
angle, right? So that
so I could fire it
out. You can just.
That's right. I could fire it from the bottom of the harness, right? So I helped Blacks Creek Guide Gear design this harness with friends of ours that own Blacks Creek, and just because
they own what? What was that?
It's Blacks Creek Guide Gear from Nampa, Idaho.
All right.
And we talked with them and said they had some great they call them chest packs, and they had great chest packs that have sidearm holsters. And I said, well, that ain't gonna work for Canada, because we're not allowed to carry sidearms. Oh, wow, I didn't know. I said, so they made a Defender one, it's called, which then there's the bear spray on the bottom, front webbing on it that I put a bear banger, and a knife on the side. And that's all because of over the last bunch of years I've learned this can help you, that can help you. A bear banger is it's like a pen flare that has a screw-on firework basically on the end of it.
Explosive.
And it's an explosive, so you pull the pin back and it fires an explosive, and it whistles as it goes out, and then it goes boof, bang at the end.
I didn't like that.
I did a bear banger demo for everyone just to wake them up. But I had to show it. You could also use it.
That was being tested here at camp, and I was not happy with it.
Hilarious. Hey, you have no room to talk. We're just taking care of the bear.
Well, I
mean, you could also put a flare on the end.
He was afterwards.
It's not our fault you had to run to the outhouse 2 seconds after.
I did.
Yeah, but that's something where you can deploy the bear spray from the chest pack, like pop the lid off, hit the thing like right now. But the bear banger, I just flip it up, fire it, which I did at a cougar a couple of years ago.
What did she do?
Ran up the tree.
So I've also seen Jason. Jason wears the bear sprayed on a holster.
Leg holster, yeah.
Yeah, on the side of the leg,
yeah.
and then
quick drop.
You got bear bangers, but they look like pistols, right? It's like a flare gun.
Yeah, there's two. There's the flare gun style. The issue is if you don't know how to use it, and you launch it past the bear, now you've scared him into your lap.
Yeah.
So the other ones are much like a flare gun, but the discharge is right at the muzzle, so it's directed.
It's almost like as if you're shooting at it, and but it's nothing is coming out. It's just a bang.
Yeah,
right?
there's no projectile. It's just noise.
It's like a blank pistol.
Essentially, but it's a big, loud blank. So yeah.
And Jason's got
the knife is the backup.
He's got 2 bear sprays, a holster pack, and then a leg pack as well. So. Which is very handy.
Yeah, that's why I didn't mind wearing my bear spray in the back of my backpack because I was hanging out
with him.
The man,
that's why.
the one and only.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a tactic. He thought that once the bear was chewing on him, he'd have to chew through that can and blow up in his mouth.
One of the things I'll say too is when we got here, the agriculture that's going on right here right now, it's harvest season for a lot of the peas and a lot of the canola, and I bet we've collectively seen over 25 bears in these ag fields. I mean, really close to camp. Even had one come through camp right down below right here. And we're talking about black bears now. But big black bears.
So there's one encounter that we didn't talk about, and I don't know if it was day 1, 2. Was it day one?
It was that evening hunt.
Yeah, so we actually are in a set of woods on the side of these giant amount of pea fields, and those pea fields was dried peas that came up to your waist, right? And we're
your
coming
waist.
to the what's that?
Your waist.
Carrie's shoulders.
Let's clarify.
Yeah, Carrie disappeared right in this.
In the rows of peas.
And so we're going and we're doing some calling, and in the pea fields all the way across here, you could see where the elk have set tracks. I mean, they're actually trails going through the pea fields. And so we're kind of looking over there, and Manano goes, "There's an elk," and we're like, everybody's looking around like, "Well, where's an elk?" No, it's like a mile away. A mile and a half. He says, on top of the hill, all the way on the other side of all this agriculture, and it's coming into the pea fields, and it hearing the calls that we're doing and the calling, called this thing in, comes in from a mile and a half. It probably took, 10 minutes.
No time.
Yeah, and so because the bull of what he was doing and where he was at, and the fact that he was young, and I know he was looking for something, and we're on the edge of a field, so that bull is not going to come all the way into us, and I know this. So I'm like, well, let's have a little fun. So I grabbed the decoy, and the Ultimate Predator decoy, put it on the front of my bow, and I start taking off, and Carrie takes off right behind me, get it all on video. Literally get this bull, and if it wasn't for all the racket that it's making, and because Carrie's going, "Where is he? Where is he?"
I'm trying to see over the piece.
She's jumping up and down trying to see over the piece.
Like a whack-a-mole.
I'm like laughing and having fun. This bull literally comes all the way across, comes up the hill, sees that cow, and I think it was probably about 80 yards, 75, 80 yards away was the closest point that he came. But he didn't know what to do. He kept looking at the decoy, and he could see things moving around behind it, and
and we're on the tree line, chuckling,
bugling and chuckling,
and you're flicking his ears.
He would respond all the chuckles.
Yeah.
And I really thought that he was end up going by us and then go to Manano and them there, but he was so infatuated with that decoy, he just didn't understand what the situation was, you know. And we had a blast with that. But while we're doing this, 2 bear come out I don't know, probably 90 yards.
Yeah, it wasn't that far.
To our left. Another bear comes out about 100 yards to our right.
A big bear.
Big
right.
bear.
Big bear.
Yeah. Comes out. I mean, there's bears everywhere, and we're right here. And
we're in the middle of them.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just something. I mean, we see a bear occasionally when we're hunting in the lower 48 for sure, especially in New Mexico or Colorado, but it's very rare. We see 25 bears here in 9 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe more than that.
Not trying to.
Not trying to. Just moving around from going from place to place. You know.
How about moose encounters?
Yeah, I've seen several moose.
Yeah,
and cow moose.
And that was the one thing that I really wanted to
I
have.
think most of
Attractive,
us, right?
Yeah, and I had one moose at 40 yards that I could, again, like you guys say, I mean, I could see head and horns and did not, this animal, they're so massive that if I don't have the shot, you don't take it because, I mean, I could see patches of his body, but again, that's not, I'm taking something that could end up poorly if you do that, and we're not going to do that. So, got to get that close to it. Like I said, we're still not done, so hopefully.
It's super hard with the moose this time of year too, because they're still growing.
And they're still in
so
velvet.
They're full velvet.
Yeah.
So the minute you try to cow call or to do any kind of bull sound, they ignore you. Like they don't want to deal with you. They turn and go the opposite way.
Yeah.
So it's almost like spot and stalk, but in the middle of the bush. And I mean, they go behind one twig, and their black hide absorbs light.
It does.
They go behind one little tree, and they just disappear. Right.
Just look right through them.
I had an encounter the other day, and they must have been within 10 yards, and it was a cow and a calf, and I'm pretty sure there was a cow and a calf moose, and I couldn't really like make out their silhouette.
Yeah.
I couldn't really see them.
Yeah.
And they were that close.
It's the only animal we have here that's very difficult to rangefinder to get a yardage.
Yeah.
You shoot it, and even the laser off your high tech
is absorbed by
it goes right in, and it doesn't.
So
come
if you're
back.
hunting moose, you should laser whatever's next to
tree
them.
beside it. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
you
bet.
bet.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. And sometimes if you can see their antler, once the velvet comes off,
right,
you can get that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're pretty much going to range a tree, a bush, anything beside it,
right,
and then estimate from there.
I will tell you, we have dined on the delightful rough grouse that you guys have here, and it's been fantastic. So
absolute scare moment of ever when you're walking through those trails and they fly up right in front of you.
We're used to that.
Yeah, exactly.
We have the same thing at home.
We did once.
Did you?
Yes. RC and I were walking down a trail, and Gilbert and Brian were just a little bit behind me, and I was looking at the map, and one flew out right in front of me, and I damn near jumped out of my boots, and RC's just laughing his butt off.
Yeah. And it's worse when they chase you. And they fly at you.
And you scream like a schoolgirl.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I noticed something else that's real different with the herd here too, Joe, is the cows come to bull sounds. Like when we were, and calf sounds, but when we were bugling yesterday, we hadn't really made much cow or calf sounds at all. And that cow that came over the top of the ridge looking down at us, and I'm like, man, that's odd. She's by herself and she's coming to look for a bull. So again, we really starting to understand.
And we don't know what else has happened in that girl's day.
True.
I mean,
true.
There was a lot of hunting going on that side.
On that side.
So
could have been pressure pushing her, but we saw it
Yeah.
again. Dylan and I saw it as well. So I mean, we're in a little calf party, and I mean, we have not made two peeps really, and we hear brush breaking, and Brian's, down below her. We almost Swiss cheese this calf. He walks about 8 yards from him, comes in there at 22, 23 yards from me, and I'm like, I'm at full draw when she breaks into the clearing, and I mean, it's over, and all I need to see is the 3 points, and it's a done deal. And no, it's a cow, and she comes in there and stays with us for a long time. How long did she circle us, Dylan?
Oh, probably for a good 45 minutes to an hour.
And Dylan saw a bull with her.
Yeah, went from Gilbert back in the trees right down to Brian at 8 yards. and Brian and myself can shoot a cow, but we said we wouldn't in hopes to get Gilbert or RC a bull. And then she went back in the trees, circled all the way back around, all the way to me, and I had her at an opening at 20 yards, and then there was actually a 4x4 bull right behind her, just in the trees.
Yeah.
And I was about to come to full draw because I thought she was going to come in to the opening we were at, and in hopes he would come, and then they just kept skirting around, and then eventually they just ended up getting downwind of us.
But Manano, what have you taken away from the hunt?
Well, the great people around us has been a bless. So I wanted to thank you, Travis, especially my buddy Carrie Ann. Thank you for having me and back by your side. It's been a bless. Man, I learned a bunch of things. It was frustrating a little bit, to be honest, because I like to walk. I like to discover new country. I got that. When you got to the point that you don't have responses early season, you have to, walk and see sign. And the way that they hunt in here, it's way different than our way. So we have to, take two step backs and recalculate and sit down and talk a little bit. And I'm glad we did it because now we understand much better.
I understand that you taught Joe how to swim.
Yeah. He tried to turn y'all's. Y'all call them quads. We call them four-wheelers.
Yeah.
And he tried to take your quad and turn it into a submarine.
An amphibian vehicle.
And what gets me is, as soon as it was over, he was like, It's the co-pilot's fault because it's supposed to help me, right? But, we had a way around a big old puddle, and Manano was like, "Oh, what the heck? Just go through it." And it started going down and down and down. Joe, jump!
Save yourself. One leg's from underwater already. And gonna jump where you're gonna jump to.
That was so funny.
He turns around and says, "You got a winch?"
Yeah.
Said, "Yeah, 1 minute, I need to get my camera."
He's like, "No, pull me out.
She got it on video.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure all of you you've now been in an elk camp with the mafia. Name another camp where you've eaten better than when
Never.
you ate with the mafia.
Not even at restaurants.
Yeah.
Nano cooked us a chicken thing last night.
Oh, it's delicious.
You can't get that at a restaurant. That's all I'm going to say. Every bite was just succulent and awesome.
These guys are legit, man.
Every meal Manano's cooked has been so full of flavor, and you know it's good because the whole camp goes silent.
Everyone's quiet. They feed his face.
We're ravenous, man.
It's a real pleasure, and I also wanted to. It called my attention that Brian said, I think it was yesterday, that he told his wife that if he need to quit his job, he will do it to come to here. So that means a lot.
Yeah. We appreciate you sacrificing your family time and vacation time.
And
Many
everybody,
of you
right?
Wouldn't have missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little girl that turned 2 years old.
2 year old while I was here, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Did you
Days ago.
My wife would have killed me.
What's wrong with you?
He doesn't have a wife anymore. What are you talking about? Papers are in the mail.
Well, we wanted
That's
you guys to come
dedication.
experience some stuff that's out of this world.
Yeah.
And like, how many firsts have you guys had?
Oh, man.
Like first Northern Lights,
Yes.
first moose, first wolf.
I got to see a
First-
wolf. I called him
He
a
was
wolf.
so
I
excited.
might not call a bull, but I called him
Got a moose shed.
Yeah. Got a moose shed.
Yeah.
Your whitetail.
The plants.
Unbelievable
Yeah.
the amount of vast wilderness that's here.
And what
it
about
is
the,
wild.
the lick we saw this morning?
Yeah,
We
I mean
came
that
to?
Arizona lick. I mean, unbelievable
Wow.
spot. That's just loaded with elk
Yeah.
sign, and it's an unbelievable place. And it's set in the middle. It takes some trekking to get there by
Yeah,
foot. But
absolutely.
I mean, Joe's got one of the paddles that was found.
I want the critter that this was on,
Yeah.
but let me tell you what, to all the moose hunters out there
Yeah.
that have packed out ahead anything like this size or above that, you are studs, because man, I just took out a shed on one half and I thought somebody threw a boulder in my path. You know, I mean, they got some weight to them, man.
Oh yeah.
I imagine a full set with the head on it is just unbelievable.
I wanna take a step back to what Gilbert was saying, because I think it's important for everybody to understand the amount of time, effort that has taken from both parties, but mainly from our Canadian brothers, sister, to make this happen. You know, this is not a, you know, one day planning deal. This has been taking place for over, you know, about a year or so. And it meant, you know, everybody taking vacation, taking time away from the family, you know, reprioritizing, and so appreciate you guys putting us in front of that. It's humbling, and at the same time it's nerve-wracking, because you guys have even put us before your families, and you know, it's extremely humbling. We're extremely honored and appreciative. Absolutely. And we can't thank you enough for all you have done. Again, back to what I said at the beginning, this experience for me and for all of us, and I feel comfortable saying this for all of us, is life-changing. Absolutely. And it's a memory that we'll take with us for the rest of our lives.
And
so
friendships that we'll hold on to for the rest of our lives. Friendships we'll hold on to the rest of our lives. Memories we'll hold on to the rest of our lives. Trav, can't thank you enough. Let everybody out there know about Wapiti River Calls. All the big name guys that listen to our show, they need to know who you are, brother.
So we started back in like 2012, 2013. Just, you know, we started calling in the Canadian Championships, and I've been calling all my life anyway. So, but we were struggling to find a reed that worked good. So I just started trying to dabble and see if I could make my own, make something that worked a little better. And we finally came up with a reed. And long story short, it turned into Wapiti River Outdoors, and basically, you know, Carrie.
Everybody knows Travis. I met a guy today in the woods, and immediately I saw the Wapiti River Outdoor logo on his ground tube, and we started talking about Travis, and he know you pretty well, bro.
Yeah. So we build each reed. We build each reed one at a time. Dylan builds for me. Jay builds for me. Darryl helps out with trade shows. Bryan helps out building. Carrie does all the cutting, packaging.
It's a family affair.
But
I want everybody to know that if you're going to try a reed out and you're going to go to the store and buy some, try these guys' reeds out, because they're phenomenal. I've been blowing them all week. And
I wasn't on the mule.
And
that's a miracle.
That is a testament right there.
I've been blowing them all week, and I'm telling you, the sugar, the frolicker, you know, the grinder is absolutely phenomenal. We've had lots of interaction with elk here.
What's
with
the name
it.
Of the one that
Silent Stalker.
The Silent Stalker.
Yeah. So Travis produces our signature calls.
Yeah.
They are Wapiti River Outdoor products. We even carry some of his in our store.
Yes, sir.
Generally, if you order from him, they're probably going to be shipped by us. We're going to probably work something out to start carrying some of his inventory with us. Certain ones out there. They're larger frame. They're larger frame, and when I say larger frame, from what most people are used to, from a medium frame, that's the actual U that's on there. It's about a 1/16 of an inch on each side larger, and the dome is a little bit higher. But you have that latex, and I think that's the whole key for the sound, is the amount of latex that you get to work. But for those people that go and try them, understand something, that when you use medium frames, they can set higher and further forward in your mouth. This will be a little bit further back around the eye teeth or behind, and they're going to set a little lower, so you don't have to reach as high and put as much pressure. So at first it might, if you've been running other calls, it might seem a little different. We have the best results with kids and people who have never called because they haven't developed any tongue muscle memory.
Literally 5-10 minutes, and they're just walking away
and
like
they're
crazy.
they're doing it. So
and
then the cut in the tape.
Yeah. So we have relief cuts basically, and what that does is the sides all fold independently, so it molds the palate of your mouth. So
and it just so happens to be a W.
It happens to be a W, for Wapiti, and so just the slightest air across it, and it's making the sound for you, right? So you don't have to force it. Just put air across it, let the reed do all the work for you.
And if people are the type that they want to, mimic or do what some of these other great callers are doing, the winner of this year's Rocky Mountain Elk Federation Championship bow uses a large frame call, and people that do, because they know that they can get more nuances, different sounds, the more latex that they have.
Out of one reed.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit more to understand how to run that call, but Travis could have worked with anybody he wanted to. Let's be honest. But he picked us to work with, and we are so indebted to that. So can't wait to see what you guys got coming out down the road. New things.
He's also one of our ELKBROS coaches. He is part of our success squad.
Forgot to even mention that he's one of our ELKBROS coaches and one of our success squad coaches. And people that know me know I'm loyal to a brand, right? And I'll be blowing your calls till they put me in the ground, brother.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate that.
You bet, buddy.
That's awesome.
So this has been incredible, and what you guys are seeing now, those of you that are watching this, you're going to see some parts of these videos. I hope you've seen them already, that I've played some parts while this is going on. I'm going to try to edit it that way. It might put a little bit more time in there. I don't have to do a whole lot of crazy editing. Manano's behaved himself this time.
Don't speed me up. Don't speed me up. Don't speed me up. Hey, Joe, I got one other thing before we close
One thing I was going to say, though, is when we first met, there were Wapiti River guys and ELKBROS guys was the way we sat. And this camp has transformed into what we have right now, a team here. And it's been really awesome to see that. And great leadership on your part, bud. And you got great guys under you. And I'm just going to say, too, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And for me, this was a childhood fantasy, and I'm in Canada. And I just keep telling myself, I'm in Canada.
Wow. Keep pinching ourselves, saying, wow, we're in Canada.
It's not over yet.
But before we close out, too, I know these two young men have a podcast as well, and I'd like to give them a shameless plug out there. Go ahead, Dylan, and tell us the name of your podcast so we can all start listening, and so our listeners will know about y'all's podcast.
Well, Brian and I and our friend Craig run a podcast called the Antler Archives. It's on Anchor, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. We have some special guests on. Lots of it is just us talking about our adventures in the elk woods, sheep hunting, deer hunting, moose hunting, everything. We have Travis on a fair bit, and we're slowly growing, so any help is appreciated. Thank you guys.
Yeah, for sure, brother.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
it's just lots of knowledge. These guys put out lots of knowledge on it, and it's, if you want to learn stuff, have a listen to that, because it's years of experience talking.
And each of us kind of have a specialty in a certain area in our hunting careers. So I know Brian and Craig are big into whitetail. They help me out a ton. They have a lot of very good information on whitetail hunting. Myself for elk and moose. Brian's quite the learner on elk and moose. He's like a sponge. He soaks every little bit of information up. Where he was back in 2019 to where he is today is unbelievable. I know Gilbert and RC were very surprised that back in 2019 Brian could hardly make a sound on it. And what he's doing today is
well, they're used to seeing the progress from Manano, so of course they're going to be surprised to see
But and the thing is with Brian, he did all the work himself.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever sent me a video or.
I sent some to Dylan, not much to you last year, so I sent you some.
Yeah.
So, Jason, I'd be remiss too to not talk about HuntReady. So, Can you give us a little spiel on what Hunt Ready's all about for you guys?
Well, Hunt Ready was just kind of a combination of errors learned over the years that I wanted to keep other people from making and doing, and morphed into a bit of a school, and has transitioned in the past couple of years to specialize more now in nutrition and fitness for hunters and stuff. And we still have some of the educational stuff. Trav and I have done seminars together with it and whatnot, but we're kind of steering more in the direction of the fitness and nutrition.
Awesome.
So, in specializing for hunters and prepping you for those big hunts and those big carriage loads and stuff for in the mountains or the flatlands, whichever. So.
And this all came from Jay was a canoe guide in Algonquin, right? So basically came from that.
Yeah, well, some of it, I was complaining about hunting, and my wife said, well, don't complain, do something about it.
Right.
And I said, what's a short, bald guy going to do about, all the hunting out there? And
yeah, we appreciate the hat, man, because we'd have had with the reflection.
The glare.
I'm trying to help you out here.
It's not as bad now because he hadn't had to shave it.
Yeah.
So, he's been in elk camp. So.
It's really her fault. She pushed me to do it and supported me along the way. And
good for her.
Brianna's
and
awesome.
it's like she's at home with a back injury right now, and still let me come out here, and if I didn't, she'd be upset with me. So
where can our listeners find out more about Hunt Ready?
They can go to HuntReady.ca, and our Instagram is HuntReadyAB.
Right.
And then as that starts to grow, more and more of the content for the fitness and stuff will start to develop and show up.
Fantastic.
And if anybody's at that point getting ready for a big hunt, unsure on pack weight or nutrition or anything, I know firsthand from working with Jason, he helped me a lot last year getting ready for our sheep hunt, and the amount of knowledge he has in that is unbelievable. I was kind of blown away on our phone calls. It'd be a quick question to Jason, and it'd end up into a 3-hour phone call going down every little rabbit hole. And I mean, if it wasn't for his help, I wouldn't have been as prepared for that hunt as we were.
Fantastic, guys. Antler Chronicles?
Antler Archives.
Antler Archives, right. So you guys check them out. For Knox, Travis, myself, Joe, the crew, it's been amazing, guys. Like we say down here in the Lone Star State.
He's a broadhead, please.
Husbands, kiss your wives. Wives, kiss your husbands. Hug your babies. Keep your broadhead sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Thank you, Canada.
All right.
Also.
Gracias.